What is my story? My story is a story of many stories. Of that story that is your story, my story, that you can relate to. That story. Story of childhood, hard times, fun times, sweet time, big time, good time, elements of time, many times that can't be phrased in a brief storytelling session, just so much time. Story of high school entrance, embraced by excitement, exalted by discovery of new personalities and characters, for a second exalting, after a while exhausting. Story of that new kid in school, aka Mono, trying to fit in but failing to fill in, so fainting to a state of miniature feelings, aka Mono, who now is in Form 3, Form 4 at the peak of his climax in school, still trying to find meaning of freedom monopoly in his hand, instead defiling his speeding process of progress like his feet are infected by polio. Then comes college, condemned fresher, enthusiastic, high hooked on pleasure, ready to experiment, fully outgoing from relationship breakup to makeup, and now looking at him or eyes like painted makeup on the face, just making up faces to excuse the truth that inside is a burdened heart. And though heart keeping image of titanic strength, like watching Hulk. And all this is like watching a wrecked ship capsizing, sinking to a state of self-pity after finding all meaningless, finding all worthless, like the first verse of Ecclesiastes chapter 1, quoting, "Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless." So really, what is my story? After finding all this excessively unsatisfying, my story is of pondering and wondering about the pressure brought in different measure, all in effort to seek happiness in leisure and pleasure, and always come out later with the conflicting lectures inside, just to elect a furthermore step, evading the reality that in all this futile effort to fill the desires has always left unfulfilled feeling of need for more, fueling a rush, reaching for more, because the craving never ceases. And all it is a deceptive, the toxic, attempting effort to diffuse a ticking time bomb, which its wires are the assumptions of life pleasures that are consumption of all the world can offer, and it's never over, instead asking for more, more, and more. Feels like competing with a winning mocker, cause never do I get to win. Like a race with no marked finish line to indicate the culmination, just living frustration. Now, after toiling in life pleasure, question pile up, all inquiring to figure out life very hard questions, like who really am I? What is this me existing? Why do I exist? All questions, reflections of the need for bigger, greater answer, trying to get meaning of life. Like the Greek, seeking the truth of life, but even the intellectual clues doesn't seem to clip my mind, just click my thoughts to such deep, cause their theories are rather cheap to cling on. Name the first gifted thinkers of ancient Greek, from Socrates to Aristotle, whose voice thought seemed to distort rather than develop my wanting for clarity in all this calamity of theories. Then comes the Darwin theories, that feels like it's focusing to dispute biblical history, theology, but grows and eventually drowns in its own foundation of massive water body, springs a spectacular cell that eventually leads to my very being. And that rather leaves me puzzled, jangling in that jungle, almost dazzled, but still unconvinced, my thoughts dangling. Cause if I am simply a cell, what stops me from sailing into an ocean of no details? Who really am I? But then again, I am a walking details of majestic imagery that is beyond imagination. Or is it simply magic, abracadabra, and the magician pulled a rabbit out of the cave? But hey, think of it again. You ever seen a human being spill out of that magician kept to a state of being? So I exist with magnitude of so much that makes science to continually seek my reality, endless discoveries, cause my being is evidently of both physical and unseen happenings. Here my thoughts that verbal words through my mouth, and even this simple example can't conclusively explain. Truly my being is uncomprehending to these theories, hence resisting a simple notion of tales derived from endless emphasis to convince the mind that there is no God, but they still turn around and say there is a force that brought about existence gradually. So there is a little argument that there is one initiating factor to all. But of all comes the Bible, touching on both sin and unseen, the natural and the unnatural nature of things, elaborately, extensively detailing of my being, from supernatural, which is spiritual, to the natural. Then comes a scene where the Creator gives His only Son, first act of love apart from all these creation theories. His name Jesus Christ, whose name echoes of fame through the centuries, because when I had framed myself for flames, He came to claim my fate from hell. So what is my story? My story is of pondering and wondering and finally determining that truly Jesus Christ is the way.